One.
Quarantine body weight workout to combat sitting. Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show a really easy way to fix your posture if you've been sitting around a lot. Whether because you're quarantined or when you get back to work, you have a sedentary type of job. This is really easy, it can be done anywhere. So here we go. We're gonna start by rolling out the hip flexors or the quads. These are your hip flexors. Basically, their function is to flex your hip. Now we have extensors in the back, the opposing muscle groups. Their function is to extend the hips forward. The hip flexors are really tight. They're probably the strongest muscles in our body, and so they're always gonna win. If there's a tug of war between the hip flexors and extensors, these guys will always win. As a matter of fact, the reason most people end up in a fetal position when they get into paralysis is because the hip flexors pull them in. They're that tight. Anyways, here's our options. Foam roller to roll out the hip flexors. If you don't have a foam roller, you use a PVC pipe. I think it's a 4-inch, really cheap. You can get it at any hardware store. They're all open, by the way. They're essential. If you don't want to use a PVC pipe, you can do a water bottle. It's really, honestly, the tools don't matter. It's just an excuse. Like if you can make a foam roller. Just take a towel, wrap it around your water bottle, take a couple of rubber bands, right? You can do, like if you want to take care of your body, it's not that hard. You'll see in later videos, I use all types of weird tools very effectively. Saving you guys a lot of money. Okay, so you get the idea. Rubber bands, boom, foam roller. I think I'll use a PVC pipe so that you all see that it's not so bad. And so here's the idea. Behind this, we're gonna roll the fascia right down from the hip to the knee. On the way back, we're gonna roll up the IT band. I can explain about fascia. I have a different video if you're interested to know more about it. But for now, for the purposes of this video, just know we have this invisible suit kind of covering up all of our muscles in different ways. They're grouped together by this invisible suit that is controlling everything. It's actually only one of 3 ways that the body communicates. And so it's really important if you want the muscles to do their function, to perform their function correctly, to address the fascia first. And that's exactly why we're starting with rolling out the fascia of the hip flexor or the quadriceps. So check this out. We're gonna start at the hip. I'm gonna roll all the way down to the knee. Notice how my opposite knee is on the ground. This is the easiest variation of this exercise. Now, on the way back, I wanna come up on the IT band side or the iliotibial band. And I'm going all the way back to the place that I start, right? And this is TFL, the muscle in the front of the hip. And on the way down, again, what I mean by down is from the hip to the knee is down, from the knee to the hip is up. Here, I'm gonna lift my knee up, making it a little more advanced in that there's more tension on the foam roller or on the PVC pipe, right? If you take your leg off completely, obviously, it's the most challenging way to do this, the most effective, if you will, because all of my body weight is now on this foam roller. Okay, so I want you to do this 3 times, right? 3 rolls down, 3 rolls up, and obviously switch legs, right? So you have to do this for both. Okay, so the very next thing we're gonna do is called a split squat. You're gonna need your other piece of equipment for this exercise, a broomstick. It's optional, but it will help you quite a bit. Okay, so to perform the split squat, I'm gonna use this broomstick right here, right? I'm just gonna use this for balance, but really, let's just go back to the Kayser Fitness Institute to show you how this exercise needs to be performed in a clinical setting. So you guys will see here, Joy's using a Reebok step for the same move. Notice how she's pushing with her left foot against the step. Her left glute is completely engaged to help stretch the hip flexor, which is on the front of the hip. And notice also how her right knee is right above the right heel. There's no movement in the front leg. This exercise is done completely for the back hip flexor, the hip flexor of the rear leg. So now notice how she's coming down as if in an elevator as opposed to an escalator. So this is a common mistake when people, when people are moving down and forward. You want to stay back, you want to lean back as you're reaching down towards the ground. Keep your glute engaged, up and down. So now that you know how to do that, bang it out 10 times per leg, okay? Next. Let me leave the broomstick here. Now that we stretched out the hip flexor complex, we're gonna engage the glutes. That's the opposing muscle group. Remember, if this one is stronger and this one is weaker, the concept is we're gonna stretch out the stronger side, we're gonna strengthen the weaker side, right? To balance out the hips. So this is the first exercise we're gonna do. I call this marching bridges. You'll see why in a second. Here's the important part. I want you to draw your navel in, really flattening the lower back. And now we're gonna perform a bridge where you're lifting your hips up and raising your back one vertebra at a time, creating a completely straight line from the knee to the shoulder. There should be no arching. You shouldn't hyperextend your spine. It should be completely neutral, straight spine. And again, you draw the navel in, and the way you, the easiest way to do this is just flatten your lower back, draw your navel in before you come up, and then lift your hips up one vertebra at a time. Now, at this point, here comes the marching bridge. Here's your bridge. I want you to start marching. Extend your left leg, and now you're basically asking the right glute to stabilize the entire pelvic girdle, and now the left glute is gonna activate, straightening the right leg. Now, here's the thing to be mindful. Notice my hips aren't moving. If I don't engage this muscle correctly, my hips are gonna move back and forth. And originally, at first, you might actually notice that on your hips as well. Eventually, as you get better and more proficient in this exercise, the hips are gonna stay really strong. You're gonna engage the glute. I want you to do 20 of these, okay? Next, we're gonna do a step up. So for the step up, we're gonna use these steps again over here. And how about this? Let's just go back to the studio once again to see how to do this exercise correctly. So once again, we're gonna use a Reebok step to demonstrate this exercise. Here, George is gonna stand up. This is a functional step up. Notice how the knee does not come too far over the heel. This is what ensures that glute activation. She's predominantly using her right glute to come up. And then on the way down, by leaning backwards, she's using that glute as well, therefore bypassing the quadriceps. Those are the muscles we mentioned earlier. You use too much when you sit. And so we'll do 10 of these. On the last one, actually want you to hold it as long as you can, well, up to 10 seconds before stepping all the way down. That's right. Can you show them where you feel this exercise? That's right, thank you. So now that you know, basically, anywhere you grab a step, I even like the rail, the knee straight, hips come forward. If it's too small of a step, step up a little bit higher, and again, glute, right, there it is. Exactly like you saw at the studio. Okay, now that the glutes are engaged, let's do a squat. A functional squat is one where the hips go below the level of the knee. And so I know that most people stop right here, which is surprisingly very similar to our seated position, how we sit in a chair, right? Glutes don't even function. They don't even turn on unless they go below parallel. So for a functional squat to actually engage these muscles, we need to go all the way down, or at least, I'll show you from the side, at least below the level of the knee, right? Ideally though, for full range of motion and for fully functional knees, you go all the way down, all the way up, locking your hips, all the way down, all the way up. If you want to make this exercise a little bit harder, grab some brace. I think it's like a 20 pound bag. You can hug the bag of rice like you would like a sandbag, right? And squat. You can hold it out if you want to make it a little bit more strenuous. This is called the goblet squat. And let's do 3 sets of 10 of these squats, right? Take a little break in the middle. I want 3 sets of 10. Okay, so after doing the squat, now we've essentially stretched out the hip flexors, we strengthened the extensor complex, our glutes. So now let's do like a static stretch, a cow stretch. We'll actually, you know, it's a stretch that will allow you to do the opposite of what our legs do when we're sitting. So if this is our seated position, right? The hip flexor is engaged. We're gonna reverse it really easy by doing this. Notice how this leg is completely straight. Once again, I'm engaging my glute. As a matter of fact, before you even get into it, I want you to engage your glute in here, then come up. If you're having a hard time balancing, grab a stick. There we go. For the advanced version of this stretch, you can use the back of the couch. I would use a pillow maybe for your knee, just like this, right? Now let me set it up. I like to place both knees on the ground. Then this leg goes completely, is this vertical against the couch. My left leg is gonna come up. I'm gonna once again engage my glute here. There it is, couch stretch. What you wanna avoid is this arching. Did I just break my stick? A little bit. So what you want to avoid is the arching. You want to keep your back completely straight. If you're still arching, that means the knee is too close. So go ahead and move the knee a little bit further away from the couch. There. And I want you to hang out here anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Ideally 2 minutes. Obviously doing both sides. The reason for 2 minutes is all the new research suggests that if you do any kind of activity for 2 minutes or longer, your brain will start to loop it, therefore facilitating thinking like, this is what you want to do, let me help you. And so if you can hold a stretch for 2 minutes, it's as if your body's going to continually working on stretching that muscle even after you're done. Okay, and lastly, let's do 2 stretches on the ground. Your hamstrings is really easy. What I want you to do always when you're stretching, instead of reaching with your head, rounding your back, I want you to consider that you want to stretch from the belly button. So you're going to start from the belly button, reaching forward. If you can touch your toes, great. And yoga, very important, squeezing the big toe, right? If you want to, you can just put your hands on top of your feet like this. If you're a little more flexible, you can interlace your fingers, keeping your back straight. And just breathe. When it comes to stretching, I want you all to exhale all the tension out every time you breathe out, essentially. So take a deep breath in and then exhale. And relax. And again. Now I've been doing this for a minute, so or I meant to say for a while, so you'll notice that with every exhale, I lengthen, my hamstrings get more and more stretched out. As long as they keep stretching, I recommend keep breathing, keep reaching, keep stretching, right? Now, lastly, we're gonna do piriformis stretch. Piriformis is a small muscle on the bottom of your butt. It's the size of a pinky. Sciatic nerves runs right through that muscle. Well, actually about 20% of the people runs through it. Most people, it's right next to it. And so when they have that shooting pain down the leg, it's because this muscle is pushing on the sciatic nerve. Here's the important thing. With this stretch, I want your head on the ground. I want your knee, your one knee is close to one shoulder, and then ideally, this heel wants to be touching the other shoulder, right? Shoulders on the ground, head's on the ground. If you can, if you're stuck in here, you're not flexible enough, feel free to grab the thigh behind the knee to relax the stretch, right? If this is challenging, here's another variation of the stretch. You can just put your leg like this and just hang out. How long? 30 seconds to 2 minutes. So, here's a really easy fix for our sedentary days at home while you're sitting around watching Netflix. Maybe you're working on some projects, slouching on the couch. It's okay to slouch on the couch sometimes. That's what couches are for. But here's what I recommend you do to combat all that. Fix any postural deficiencies that can come from slouching on the couch. Really easy, 7 steps. If you learned anything at all from this video, if you liked it, if you enjoyed anything, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel because I want to give you guys as much information as I can, especially now that I can't train my students. I miss it, so I want to give as much as I can to you folks. If you have any questions, if you're interested in any concept, please comment below. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to share with you everything that I know about this human body. That's my passion. This is what I want. is to share with people exactly how to take care of their bodies, whether they have money, whether you don't have money, do it yourself. You can replace any equipment on planet Earth, and you can look like a bodybuilder, function like a gymnast, and feel like a yogi with zero equipment, if any at all. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're all staying safe. Until next time, aloha.